welcome to today's video. Today I am talking about my Machu Picchu and Inca Trail experience. I'm going to tell you all the little bits and pieces about the company which I trekked with, things that you can expect to need to be packing, things about altitude sickness, and just my journey in general. If you are interested to see my Peru video, I will also link that down below for you guys, because if you're doing the Inca Trail, you are gonna be in Peru. So I have some tips in there about how I traveled Peru as well. Hopefully you find today's video helpful. If you do, give me a thumbs up and enjoy. So when I went to Machu Picchu, I did the 4-day, 3-night classic Inca Trail. There's quite a few different companies that you can trek with, and there's also quite a few different routes that you can take as well. And I trekked with a company called Alpaca Expeditions. And I have to say, if there's a company that you're going to trek with, 150%, this company is amazing. I can't say that I trekked with any other companies, but I can say I cannot fault this company at all. My experience was so amazing. Before I went, obviously I did my research, and the reviews for this company were really, really good. But you know, like, reviews, you can never really trust them, but after trekking with them, I can really say that now I understand why their reviews were so amazing, because you can't even put into words how amazing this company is. I'm going to tell you all about why I chose them and also what my experience with them was like. So there's a couple of things that you need to think about when you're picking the company that you're going to be trekking with. The first and the major thing is how the company treats their porters. So there are so many companies that you can trek with. All are going to be at different price points, but they're also all going to treat their porters very differently as well. Now we need to remember that this is a third world country, so things are very different over there than they are to here. They don't have the same kind of rights, and they're not treated the same kind of way that we are. Personally, I think this is one of the things that you should really think about. The second reason is that this company is known for having very good equipment. So each company, obviously the cheaper ones aren't going to have as good equipment as the better companies. So the tent that we were sleeping in, the sleeping bags, mats, and everything like that were very, very good equipment. You are obviously given a tent to sleep in. You can pay extra for mats, sleeping bags, and these kinds of things, but everything was of great quality, especially the little toilet that they set up was also really good as well, whereas some companies may not have that. So taking into account the kind of equipment that they will be giving you. And thirdly, the reviews. So the reviews spoke for themselves. There wasn't really very many bad ones. You do have to take reviews with a bit of a grain of salt, but obviously it is something that you can go off. After trekking with them, like I said, I can assure you that the reviews are definitely accurate and they are really, really amazing. Now, the Alpaca Expedition is a little bit more expensive than some of the companies, but I can assure you it is well worth the money. Alright, so what you can be expecting when you trek with the company that I trekked with. First off, you are going to have a meeting the day before your trekking date where you meet up in Cusco and they debrief you about everything. Now, if you are for some reason getting picked up from another location other than Cusco and you're going to be in that location before when your scheduled meeting date is, that's absolutely fine. You can join someone else's debriefing appointment. They will take note of the group that you're in, and then they can pick you up as you have discussed with them. And that actually leads me to the fact that you don't actually have to leave from Cusco, which is what most people probably think. If you want to stay at a destination that is along the way to them driving from Cusco to the start of the Inca Trail, you can actually get picked up from one of those locations. So I didn't actually leave from Cusco, I actually left from Ollantaytambo, which is where I left off my last post. But this location actually allowed me to get an extra 2 hours sleep, whereas everyone else had been traveling on the bus from, 5 in the morning or whatever, coming from Cusco. But they just picked me up from Ollantaytambo, absolutely no worries at all. The great thing with this company as well, they will pick each and every person up from their hotel or hostel or wherever they're staying, as long as it is in an accessible vicinity to where they are traveling and within the city. So they just picked me up from Ollantaytambo and I met everyone else on the bus there. So it was actually really, really great. just a couple of little dot points about things that you can be expecting while you're hiking and on your journey during the Inca Trail. So first off, you are going to be given a duffel bag. This duffel bag, you are able to put all of your belongings that you're wanting to be taking, and you have a weight limit of up to 7 kilograms. So they are going to give you this bag, you don't need to worry about it. And you also need a day pack that you're going to be carrying with you. So you're not going to be carrying all of your belongings, you're only going to be carrying the things that you need in that day. So that's going to be things like water, food, layers of clothing, sunscreen, extra snacks if you're wanting. So that's all that you're needing in your day pack, and then everything else is going to go into this duffel bag, which the porters will be carrying. When it comes to the day pack and the size that you are needing, personally I had a 30-litre pack because that's what I had with me over in Canada when I went over there. I found that I definitely didn't need this size of a pack. I think you'd be okay with about 20 litres, even a 25 litre. The main thing that's taking up space in your bag is your clothes, because it is very cold when you wake up in the morning and you're gonna want those layers, but you're gonna get a bit warm as you're walking through the day, which means you're gonna have to take off layers and they're gonna have to go in your bag. So really that is the only thing that's taking up a lot of space in your bag apart from your water. But the great thing is you'll be able to get more water throughout the day. Now, when you are booking your ticket, you can also select what things you would like to add in addition to your ticket. So obviously the tent is included in the price, but you have the option to include a sleeping bag, a sleeping mat, and trekking poles if you would like. These are things that you don't have to do, but I do highly recommend that you have all of these things. Obviously, if you have your own sleeping mat and your own sleeping bag which you would like to take, then you can absolutely do that. I would recommend a sleeping bag liner. I think they actually did provide sleeping bag liners possibly. I bought my own so I didn't have to use it, but they may actually provide cotton sleeping bag liners, and they also provide a really small little pillow for you to sleep with as well, and those both come at no extra charge. Packing is something that you need to do with caution. Now, they do send you a packing list, which they recommend, but there may be some things on there that you don't need to take and some things that aren't on there that you may want to take. They are pretty good with their packing list. I'm going to mention just a couple of things that I think are things that you're definitely going to want to have that you may think that you don't need to have. The main thing that I can stress is to pack light. Once again, you've only got 7 kilos in that porter's bag, and you don't want to be carrying around that extra weight that isn't allowed into that duffel bag. So pack as light as possible, and I can assure you, you really don't need that much stuff. It was this trip that actually solidified to me how little stuff you need when you travel, because I wore the same hiking clothes for the first 3 days of the trek. And I never thought that I would do that. I'm one of those people that when I work out at the gym, I will wear a new gym outfit every time because I sweated in that. Or when I hike, I would never wear that twice in a row. But I wore this outfit 3 days in a row and it was totally fine. It didn't even smell that much. I mean, that I could tell. Okay, so a couple of things that you are going to want. A hat, because you're walking outside all day. You're going to want to shield your face from the sun. A beanie. It can get really cold at night, and putting a beanie on your head can make all the difference to your body temperature. Warm sleeping clothes. Even if you're going in the summer months, which I did, I went in the time frame where it should generally be warmer, but at night it actually gets really, really cold there. So I may have been trekking in shorts and a singlet during the day, but at night I wore all of the layers. It was so cold. So make sure that you have warm clothes for at night. You're going to want to also invest in a drinking bladder. I can't tell you how annoying it is if you are trekking along and you keep having to stop to take your water out. Also, everyone else has the drinking bladders and they're walking sipping water, and you'll be like, hey guys, can we stop? I want to get some water. So it is just way easier for you to have a drinking bladder for when you're walking, that you can just have the straw and be sipping out of it. Good hiking shoes. I did see a couple of people on the trail wearing Nikes and things like that. I can tell you, you're hiking for 4 days. You want to treat your feet like goddesses. Gloves. Gloves are something that you may not think to pack, But actually, in the morning when it's freezing, there's nothing more that you want than gloves on your hands, because when you're holding those trekking poles, your hands are freezing. If you can get waterproof gloves, that's even better, because I didn't have waterproof gloves and I regretted it because it was raining a little bit in my time, so my gloves were saturated, but that's something to keep in mind as well. A headlamp. Now, they do put this on their list, but trust me, you're gonna want it, because at night time you're in the middle of nowhere and it's pitch black, and it's so much easier to have a head torch. For example, when everyone wears their head torches at the dinner table on a dimmer lighting so that they can see, it just makes things a lot easier when you can just put it on your head and go to the toilet or whatever you're doing. Earplugs are something that you're going to want, just because the porters will go to bed after you and generally waking up before you. So if you are a light sleeper and you want to be able to sleep through when the porters are ruffling around outside, I highly recommend earplugs. Toilet paper, because along the trail, if you need to go to the toilet, there isn't just toilets everywhere, so you may want some toilet paper. Also, if in the middle of the night you need to go to the toilet and the toilet is out of toilet paper, then you've got some backup. So always have toilet paper on you. Hydrolyte. So Hydrolyte is something that I personally swear by. It saves me all of the time, but you are walking a lot, you are sweating a lot, and if you suffer from altitude sickness like I did, Hydrolytes can be your savior. Spare battery pack. This is something that I didn't have, so I always had to be so conscious about the fact that I may run out of battery. I had my phone, one charge on my phone, and I had my GoPro, and I had 2 GoPro batteries, and that's all I had for 4 days. And this is 4 days of wanting to take footage the entire time, which obviously I can't last that long. So I didn't get to take all of the footage that I wanted, because I had to be really careful, because obviously I wanted battery on my phone and GoPro for the last day at Machu Picchu. So I was always really conservative with my battery. So a lot of the people there had battery packs, which is just something that I had yet to invest in. But if you can, I highly recommend one of them. Another little thing that, especially for the females, you may want is just to take a little travel-sized dry shampoo, because on day 4, now this is something that I didn't really think about, on day 4, you have literally been hiking for 3 days straight, and you are going to beautiful Machu Picchu, where you're going to want to get photos, and you're going to want to be in the photos, and you kind of look like shit. So have a little bit of dry shampoo so you can spruce yourself up just a little bit. Try, and what I did, I just wore my hair in a braid like all the time when I was trekking. So then when it came to day of Machu Picchu, my hair was actually pretty nice. Put a little bit of dry shampoo and I was ready to go. Also think about your outfit for Machu Picchu. So I wore the same outfit for the first 3 days and then had a new outfit for my day of Machu Picchu, just so I felt a little bit fresher and not like I had been trekking for 3 days. Now obviously there are many more things that you need to pack, but this is just a couple of little ones that I would suggest that maybe you don't think of, or maybe you're thinking that you don't need, and I'm telling you, you're gonna wanna have them. Okay, so let's talk toilets, because I know this is one of the biggest things that people are going to be curious about. So firstly, I need to remind you to collect some $1 Soles coins while you are traveling around in Peru, because along the way there are going to be some toilets that you have access to where you just have to pay 1 soles and they're going to give you some toilet paper and access to the toilets. Now along the way at your lunch destinations, this is generally where some of the toilets are. I think in the trek maybe there were 2 toilets which were okay. There were some toilets which I opted to use nature instead of the toilet, because the toilet was just gross. Also, the other toilet is just going to be your surroundings, nature. But the one thing that I did find a bit of a struggle is the Inca Trail is a pretty solid trail. There's a lot of the time where you're on a hill, there's ledges or what, but there's not really anywhere much to veer off to go to the toilet where people can't see you. this is kind of what I found, so I always did try to take advantage of where you could go to the toilets, because some of the times I'm like, what if I needed to go to the toilet? There's seriously nowhere I could go. And you're not the only person on that trek, not just you and your group. There's many other groups. So there's always going to be people in front of you, behind you, that could walk past where you're going to the toilet. I know. So just keep that in mind. Use the toilet when you can. Make sure you have your toilet paper with you. So in regards to how much money you should be taking with you, once again, have some Solace coins with you so when you can use the toilet, have just a little bit of extra money on you, because there was maybe 1 or 2 destinations where you could buy like Gatorades and little snacks and things like that along the way. But the main reason that you need to have your money on you is for the tipping, which will be discussed with you in the forms and everything like that. But you don't need to take too much extra money. Altitude sickness. So altitude sickness, you really can't know how it is going to affect you. It is going to affect everyone different, and you can't really prepare for it. Now, one thing that I cannot stress to you enough, this is something that I can tell you because I had a really bad experience, is take it slow. Even if you are the fittest of fit people, it may feel easy to you, but I can tell you your insides don't think so. So I was previously in Canada doing a lot of hiking. I gymmed every day, I hiked every weekend, I was hiking in altitude. I had also been really well acclimatized. I had been in Peru for 2 weeks. I had been in places that had higher altitude. I'd already trekked the Colca Canyon, so I thought I should be the most well-off of people. And surprisingly enough, even though I was one of the fitter people in my group, I actually suffered the worst. Now, the reason that I suffered from altitude sickness, that first day when we were walking, I didn't find it hard at all. I was just going at my own regular pace. I wasn't even trying to go fast, just my regular pace where I felt comfortable. But later that night, my body decided that that was not okay. So how my porter described it to me is, although I may have felt okay, my insides weren't getting the oxygen that they normally would, so I guess my body kind of freaked out. I did prep myself. I had done so many things previously in Peru. I had been in Cusco for ages. I was in Ollantaytambo. I hiked the Colca Canyon. If anyone should have been acclimatized, it should have been me. But because I didn't take it slow, my body said no. On the first night, I woke up extremely sick. I pretty much had gastro-like symptoms that had me up all night. That morning, I woke up and I had absolutely nothing in my body anymore. I was dehydrated, I had no food in me, but I was still so nauseous that I couldn't bring myself to eat anything. So our guide did some little Peruvian thing that helps with altitude sickness for me, and pretty much gave me the option that I may have to go back. So day 2 is actually the hardest day of hiking on the journey. It is the point where you reach the highest altitude. So we weren't sure if I was even going to be able to make it, as I was feeling really, really horrible and weak in the morning. He told me that he would put my bag separately, and if anything got any worse, I would have to walk back down and then pay for a donkey back to the start of the trail. Now, keeping in mind, if this happens, you don't get your money back for anything, and you have to pay extra for a donkey. And believe me, there was no way that I was getting this far and I wasn't seeing Machu Picchu. I was like, don't you dare tell me that I'm not seeing Machu Picchu. So of course I ended up making it. I pretty much hiked the first 3 days of the trail with nearly to no food. I had had a couple of nibbles, but I was just so nauseous that I couldn't really bring myself to eat much until the last night. And I can tell you this was horrible because the food looked so amazing. So what is recommended is that you acclimatize in Cusco for 2 to 3 days. If you can give yourself a little bit longer, then that's not going to be bad at all. There is also altitude sickness medication that you can take as well. The bad thing about this is it actually is a a diuretic and makes you need to pee all the time. So I had actually been taking this medication as well. I took it when I was in the Colca Canyon and I was kind of doing okay, so I stopped taking it because when you're tracking, it's annoying when you have to pee all the time because there's not always somewhere to pee. So I had stopped taking it, but as soon as I started to feel sick on that first night, I then started taking it again, but that is something that you can opt to take as well. Also, if you are stressed that you're not going to be fit enough, seriously, don't worry. If there is a will, there is a way. We had a 70-year-old lady who was in my group. She definitely found it tough, but she got there. I also met other people along the way that were really struggling, but everyone made it in the end. If you want to be doing some pre-training to prep yourself and make things a little bit easier, what I would recommend is the incline treadmill walks, Stairmaster, and weight training for your legs. Surprisingly, weight training for the legs I think actually helps a fair bit. Out of the people in my group, a lot of people's legs started to hurt a little bit earlier on than what mine did, and I think just all that weight training that I had done like previously with my legs were just used to having a bit of a hounding, so I feel like I didn't have to deal with walking with sore legs as much as what others did. So I think actually pre-prepping them is going to help you with having less pain during your days of trekking. And obviously, the best way that you can prep is going for hikes up mountains. If you live anywhere near the Alps, that's gonna help you a hell of a lot. So the last day of hiking, day 4, which is the day that you actually enter into Machu Picchu. The morning starts off very early. I can highly recommend for you to sleep in your clothes because that morning is quite a rush. Now what happens is you go and you wait in line for the trail to the sun gate to open. So you wait in line for a couple of hours. Now when it opens up, it was quite a weird experience really. So you're in a line, the gates open up and everyone starts hiking. Now the hiking path is very kind of like single file in some sections, and some sections you're able to overtake people, but it was very much like a race. Like it was such a race atmosphere. Like everyone was going as fast as they can, and like when someone tried to overtake, people got like snooty at them, and it was such a weird environment. And I don't know what we were all thinking. I think we all thought whoever got there first is going to get into Machu Picchu first, and they're going to be there without any other people around. I can tell you that's not the case. So just take it at your pace that you want to be taking at. I regretted because I was finally feeling better this day and I like pushed myself, and then I got to the sun gate and I was like, oh god, I'm feeling so good, that altitude sickness is coming back. But just take your time because we got there. Me and 2 of the others in my group that are a little bit of a faster hikers, we got there quite early. But obviously we had the older lady in our group who was an absolute trooper, but obviously is a little bit slower. Now you have to wait for the rest of your group to come, of course. So you're at the sun gate, cool, you get to the sun gate with not really anyone else around and you get a photo with Machu Picchu, but I can tell you it's not really any different whether there's people around or not people around. You aren't getting into Machu Picchu, you're getting to the sun gate. So sun gate is up here, Machu Picchu is down here. So you're not actually getting to Machu Picchu yet, you're getting to the sun gate. So you wait for the rest of your team to come and you wait for the sun to rise over Machu Picchu. So once you get to the sun gate, you're not leaving there anytime soon, you're waiting for that sun to come down. So once that sun comes over Machu Picchu, then you start doing more of a hike down to Machu Picchu. So don't race. I really don't know why it was such a race environment. I think everyone thought they were getting to Machu Picchu first. So when you get into Machu Picchu, you are going to have a little bit of a guided tour with your guides who take you around and tell you some of the history and these kinds of things. have the option to hike up Alpaca Picchu. Now this is something that is an additional cost, and you will be doing this without a guide, but I do highly recommend it because the hike is insane. It is quite a bit of a different view, and the view of Machu Picchu is from extremely far away, so I wouldn't even say the view was that amazing, but the experience of hiking up there was incredible. The tour of Machu Picchu and the Alpaca Picchu. When you do the Alpaca Picchu, obviously you have less time to explore Machu Picchu itself. If I had the option to do it again and stay one extra night in Aguas Calientes, I would do that, so I could go a second day into Machu Picchu. But overall, it was still great. I still did get to see everything. I just did find that it was a little bit rushed getting out of Machu Picchu because there's a specific time bus which they recommend to catch, otherwise it takes forever to get out of there. Now once you do leave Machu Picchu, you meet up with the group if you would like for one last supper before we all caught the train back to Cusco. Now the train ticket is included in the price that you pay for your tour. And once your train gets into the Cusco area, you are picked up by a shuttle to deliver you back to the hostel or hotel that you will be staying at. Prices. So the cost that I paid when I did my trek was $665 in total. It cost an extra $75 for me to climb Alpaca Picchu, an extra $20 for my sleeping bag, and $15 for a mat. And I didn't have to pay for trekking poles as I already had my own. So that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys found this helpful. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see my videos every week. I'll see you next week, guys.